Sure.
And then please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. That'll be led by Alderman Payne.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time of meeting, Father. We thank you for these facilities. We thank you for our city. We thank you for our first responders. We lift them up in prayer every day, Father. Father, we pray for your discernment and wisdom on the items of the agenda tonight, Father, and in all the things that we do. We ask all these things in your precious Son's name, Christ Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Can you hear me? This thing sounds lower. Is it good? Okay. Okay, first on the agenda this evening is the approval of the minutes from the June 5, 2018 meeting.
Mr. Mayor, move we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of June 5th, 2018 with any additions, deletions, or corrections.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for the award of a $5.2 million bank bid. This again is for the bank loan that will be used for the parks expansion projects that's been heavily discussed the last two meetings.
Board, you all have the bid tabulations. Bids were open today at 4 o'clock. We received 8 bids from local banks, which you have in front of you. And at this time, as you'll see, it's a recommendation to award the bid to Trustmark Bank at a rate of 2.81.
Mr. Mayor, I bid that we award the bid to Trustmark Bank as presented on the stage. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
These flat fees, any
You
origination?
see out at the top, right next to it, with the annual 4-year payment, the $1,392,000,
Oh, yeah.
and that'll be the same each year.
Not just sticking fees up front or anything, they're all the same. It's just, okay.
You mean no points or anything? No points?
No, no.
Apples for apples, yeah.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for sanitation fees. Mr. Nick Manley.
This is just a resolution authorizing either a lien or the assessment for assessment to your park tag for the sanitation fees that have not been paid, and there being an opportunity to appear for the board for each one of these.
Mr. Mayor, I bid that we adopt a resolution for assessing unpaid sanitation fees as presented on this date.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, and that motion carries. Next on the agenda is approval of emergency well repairs for Greenbrook and College Road water plants.
Yeah, these repairs were needed to in order to get the water wells fixed, and emergency repairs. I can't see the exact amount from here.
$66,112 for College Road, $36,541 for Greenbrook West.
Yes,
totaling $102,653.80.
Yes, so tonight just need to authorize a resolution authorizing the ratification of these repair expenses for those water wells in order to maintain clean water for those areas.
So moved.
Yeah.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is the general liability insurance policy renewal for FY18 through FY19 for the July 1 renewal day.
Mayor Board, this was emailed earlier this week. We received it on the 15th. Your broker waits and pushes and negotiates with Travelers and anyone else that we bid it out to, or he bid it out to, up until the last minute as possible. So we got it, emailed it to you last week. You see it's all right at about a 5% increase, given the lines of coverages, and that's across all, for a total of 5% increase. Travelers, we've got a great working relationship with them. This does include workers' comp. We've got all lines of general liability, law enforcement liability, property, auto, and workers' comp with Travelers. We've made that move I guess 2 years ago when we combined them all. We've seen savings. Keep a flat rate in workers' comp is good. Keep a flat rate across any of the lines is good. But again, with some of the lines, we did see a total increase of 5%, 4.9. But it's our recommendation to stick with Travelers and accept this.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve Travelers as our general liability insurance agent.
Second.
And workman's comp, right?
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion?
About a total of almost $76,000 increase, which policy is 1.46 to 1.539 that 1 year.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is the resolution to claim private property.
Mr. Mayor, I move we adopt the resolution granting authority to claim private property as presented on this day.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion among the board?
There's a lot of,
Plumber line code, there's a lot of 1, 2, 3, multiple lots. What's the problem there?
I'm asking Austin, he's the back.
Yeah. Plumber line code, there's 2271, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 11. Is that just one big bank on that, or one big vacant piece of land?
Yeah, it's owned by one person. It's multiple lots if they're not maintained.
The developer's not doing it, or?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Vacant lot. Any other discussion among the board? Hearing none, is there anyone in the audience that has a financial interest in the properties and would like to speak? Hearing none or seeing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is our planning agenda. Ms. Whitney Cook.
Yes, sir. The first thing we have on the agenda is a request for a conditional use permit for 8008 Highway 51 North. This is going to be your hard corner on the northeast corner of Rasco on Highway 51. There's a building, a structure there that has multi-tenant bays in it. A lot of improvements were done. If you look behind it, there's an old car wash. Used to be a car wash that you could go through and wash your own automobiles with. It's been sitting empty. We've had some violations on it prior to this owner taking over the property. He's wanting to enclose it, do some improvements to the building, and do motor vehicle repair there. There's 6 bays. He's going to open up the bays on each side, put an office with restrooms in the middle, and signage will be on Rasco Road. The conditional use permit was approved by the Planning Commission as 1 year with a 4-year extension pending annual renewal.
This is the one up there with corner 51 and Nebraska.
Yes, 51 Rasco. It's between the retail building and the mini storage on the north side.
I know we've had issues in the past, and at least I've been told, I could be wrong, but they were illegally fixing vehicles over there.
That's actually that we had a investigation in the mini storage where they were doing that.
Okay.
Correct. This has always remained vacant. We hadn't had any issues in terms of illegal motor vehicle repair in this one. This owner has actually helped us in a lot of vandalism, a lot of trash and debris being dumped over there illegally. He's cleaned it up, he's alerted us when he's found people, so he's been an asset to code enforcement. Prior to that, though, yes, it was a problem.
That's what I want to hear.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve item number 1 on the planning agenda as presented on this date.
Second.
On item 1, we have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion?
I got just one quick question. Is there gonna be cars stored around the building there? 'Cause
No,
that's
there's
pretty
not gonna
bad.
be on-site storage. The only parking he's got, he owns both facilities, so the only parking he's got is gonna be up there with the retail. So, minor vehicle repair, which is what he's gonna be classified under, is less than 24-hour parking. Everything has to be stored on the inside of the building as well. And you can look, if they scroll down, there's actual and architectural rendering of the improvements to be done, right there. So the bays will remain, the inside work will be gutted a little bit. If you'll see the bottom architectural, they're putting the office complex in, but there's no parking on the exterior at all.
Any other questions or discussion on item 1? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries on 1.
Item number 2, we have an application by Stonecrest Investments to amend the existing Snowden Farms PUD, specifically districts 18 and 21. This is going to be the area just the hard corner of the southwest corner of Goodman and Getwell. You can't really see it there, but right here, where the lake is, it's going to kind of wrap the lake and CVS Pharmacy and kind of go to the interior a little bit. The existing PUD was a great PUD in 2005. It had a site layout where specifically everything had to go from the buildings to the parking to the drives, everything like that, and it was all C4 zoning. We spoke with the owners of the property and felt like removing that exact site layout would give a little flexibility to both the city and tenants that they were trying to market to. And we also felt like mixed use was a better asset as opposed to just straight commercial. It's a lot of property that may not want to all go commercial. It may want to have mixed use buildings. It may want to have office. It may want to have something else inside this development, and it was very restricted. So they took that suggestion, and what they're doing now is asking just for these 2 sections to remove the site layout off of the PUD and to convert the straight C4 zoning to mixed use zoning. It was approved by the Planning Commission unanimously. I think there's a couple different drawings in there that will show you the specific areas. Go one more down. There's your specific area. It just entails that area right there.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve item number 2 on the planning agenda as presented tonight.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion on item 2? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries on 2.
Item number 3 is an amendment to an existing PUD, the Cherry Hills subdivision, which is going to be on the south side of Rasco Road east of Sweeney. If you see the highlighted areas, this is the north side of Rasco Road, and the developer of the existing Cherry Hill is wanting to amend the PUD and the subdivision itself to incorporate the north side. It consists of 25.77 acres, 2 phases in it. All the lot sizes, all the house sizes will be exactly the same as the south side. It will also incorporate the split rail detailed fence, and the sidewalk, as you know, will carry all the way over to Sweeney Road. Questions from the Planning Commission, one of their main concerns was the square footages, so we did an analysis on the surrounding areas, and the square footage that is building out here, their minimum size is already larger than what their minimum is requiring, but it's larger than any of the subdivisions around it. Lot sizes are medium density, so they follow suit with the comprehensive plan also. There has been one change with the initial layout and a submittal we got on Friday, and it's just to shift one of the roads down back towards Sweeney Road to the west a little bit due to some grade issues on the property. It's fine by us. It was 250 feet set off from the subdivision entrance on the south side, so it complies with our policy of 250 feet. Otherwise than that, there are no changes, and we recommend approval.
Mr. Mayor, make a motion to approve item number 3 on the planning agenda as presented.
On item 3, we have a motion by Alderman Kelly, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Mayor, I've got a question. Whitney, what are the flooding concerns over here? I mean, I drive by here all the time. It's considerably lower than the street grade, that entire area. I know Autumn Woods has always had the flooding, and I know we did the drainage easement, the ditch back on that side. So I'm assuming all this overflow is going to go into the same ditch. How will that affect this neighborhood? How is it going to affect Autumn Woods? And what are our concerns there?
Well, without looking at a drainage analysis on it, I can tell you that it's on the other side from Autumn Woods, and you'll see a creek. If you see the Blue Line Creek that's splitting the middle of this property, it carries on and should connect up there when we did the big FEMA detention area years ago when we had the federal funding on it. Obviously, we're pre and post development, so it's up to them to ensure whatever water runs off of there now doesn't increase onto the adjacent properties either way. It may be that they have to build up the grade. It may be that they have to deepen the creek line that's there to detain their water. But it's basically up to them to submit a grading and drainage and a hydraulics plan to us. But we'll have that over to Civil Link before any of the work starts to ensure that it doesn't impede any of the properties.
No flood zones, still a lot of elevation
Yeah.
changes.
And they've designed it to stay off of the creek line that you see splitting there. They've separated it out, so there's actually, that's why they phased it into 2 different areas, because they didn't want to try to cross that creek or impact that creek line, so.
Who's gonna maintain the creek?
The creek in the middle is just left, it's taken out of the property. That was one of the questions that the Planning Commission had. The part of that creek runs parallel to Resco Road, and it was in part of the common open space, and we voiced concerns on where does the maintenance of that begin and where does it end. It's a public drainage way, it's not in a public easement, so I don't know if that's something that we need to address from a city side, but the common open space that's going along Rasco Road, their maintenance ends at the top of the banks. So everything on the interior of the creek line where it takes on the water from over there by the fire station and where it drains through there is not, obviously it's not a HOA maintenance thing. And I do have the applicants in the audience if you want to ask them any questions about it.
I would.
Okay.
Mike Davis, the Reeves Farm, 6,800 Papa Revenue Mills.
What are y'all planning on doing? I mean, you're gonna raise elevation, of course, but what are y'all planning on doing with the creek? I just don't want it to be down the road. We're working on issues now from for the developer and they do the right thing at the beginning.
Yeah, well, the creek has been, the creek was moved years ago, prior to, several years before Rascal Road was improved. And so it's kind of grown up, created its own environment and its own slope. And so we're staying way away from the creek for the back of our lots. And during the Planning Commission hearing, Whitney discussed the possibility of leaving the creek in a public maintenance easement so that it's not part of the homeowner association and that they have to. HOAs aren't equipped to handle maintenance in ditches.
I understand.
So I think that's our intent is to, just HOA to take care of the landscape type common areas on the street and that the creek would fall in a public easement. And we've looked at the whole area from a detention standpoint. This drainage basin goes almost all the way up State Line Road. And we're looking at it compared to the design of the box culvert that goes under Rasco and eventually goes into the creek you see running along the bottom of the stream. And if, right now our studies are showing that the box culvert can handle it even after development. But if it turns out it doesn't, and Civil Link disagrees with our numbers, we've got room within our design to put in detention basins if it's required.
And last thing, how wide is it between, I see there's two phases basically, but if they build a fence on each side of the ditch, how much room's in between?
It's about, it varies, because what we did is we did a topo.
I see the lines a little.
Yeah, and we determined where the top of the bank is, and then we gave ourselves some room backed off the top of the bank. So it probably averages 50 to 60 feet.
So
wide.
plenty to get in there.
Yeah, there's room for the creek to move around without affecting the lots. That's the intent.
Okay. Yeah.
Any other questions or discussion on item 3? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks?
Yes.
Alderman Kelly?
Yes.
Alderman who?
Yes.
Alderman Payne?
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler?
Yes.
Alderman Flores?
Yes.
Okay, the motion carries on 3.
Item number 5, or I'm sorry, item number 4, was the tabled item, which was the variance application from Tadeo Mohammed at the last board meeting concerning a variance to a hand car wash located at 7800 Highway 51 North. We did receive all of documentation at this point in time, and we would recommend that the variance.
Yeah, vote to take off.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Make a motion to take off the table.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion by Alderman Brooks to untable item 4, second by Alderman Flores. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, please say no. Ayes have it, motion carries, it's untabled.
Okay, my apologies. There are 4 points that either prove or disprove a hardship in a variance application. The first one is that special conditions or circumstances exist which are peculiar to the land, structure, or building involved, and which are not applicable to other lands, structures, or buildings in the same district. The applicant stated that the previous car wash was an automatic structure. It serves as a bay where the hand car wash and attendants can back vehicles into and detail. It can also serve as an area to store equipment and items, and that it maintains water runoff and drainage to capture and divert the water in the hand car wash. Staff did the initial review in the proposed use and did grant the original owner the allowance to use the bay for a hand car wash. All inspections and permits were granted. The occupancy of the building kept vandalism and other code issues at a minimum, so staff would agree with the first point. Number 2, that literal interpretation of the provisions of the title would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other properties in the same district under this title. The structure sits within a C4 zone. The applicant states that the literal interpretation of the provisions as set forth by the planning office would deprive the applicant of rights commonly enjoyed by other property owners with the C4 zoned property. There's no distinction between an automatic car wash versus a hand car wash, nor the accessory versus primary use within the said zone. Staff would say while there's no distinction between the hand car wash and automatic car wash, there's a distinction between an accessory and a full service. Both individual uses require a conditional use permit or a variance to allow them to operate in a C4 zone to be compliant with our ordinances. Since this application is being presented to the board, it could be argued that the applicant is attempting to comply with city rules and therefore could be deprived of rights commonly enjoyed by other applicants requesting the same. Number 3, that special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. The applicant states hand car wash operation has existed and continued on the property since 2013 and prior to the time the current operator began operations. These are special conditions and circumstances that do not result from the actions of the applicant. It began and was allowed by the city with a previous hand car wash operator. Business license was granted and never attempted to void. Staff does agree that the hand car wash facility was being opened under the original and previous ownership and allowed by way of non-conforming chapter of the city was not a result of any actions of the applicant. Number 4, the granting the variance requested would not confer on the applicant any special privilege that is denied by this title to other land, structures, or buildings in the same district. The applicant states that the continuation or granting of a variance requested would not confer upon Everlasting Car Wash any special privilege that is denied to others in C4 zone. First, the privilege was granted to the previous hand car wash operator. Second, there is a car wash immediately to the north of the subject property. 4, staff would state that while staff would disagree the allowance to remain open as is would confer special privilege to the applicant, allowance of a variance would not confer this special privilege. The automatic car wash was originally approved as an accessory use to the convenience store located at 7800 Highway 51 North. In 2011, the automatic car wash was shut down due to technical repairs. Gentlemen that worked for the property owner requested to open a small hand car wash service in this bay, which the city agreed to as an accessory use. Since that time, the accessory business has transferred ownership more than once, which is allowed because it was not changing use and the service remained open. The allowance to remain on site fell under the non-conforming use ordinance. There was a lapse in this business earlier this year, which now requires that the owner come into compliance with requirements for an accessory car wash. These requirements could be done via a conditional use permit or a variance, which is what is presented with this report. That being said, staff recommends approval of a variance to allow the hand car wash to open with the acknowledgement that it needs to be re-inspected by the building and fire departments to determine code compliance, as all new and re-establishing businesses are required to do. This variance should allow for the continuance of the use pending there are no further code violations associated with the site and that the use is not expanded beyond its existing realm of services.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve item number 4 on the planning agenda.
Second.
Who's second? Okay, on item 4, we have a motion to approve Alderman Payne, second Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none from the board, I have just a couple of comments. I would just, first of all, like to thank Mr. Muhammad for finally coming in and going through our processes. That's all we ever asked for from day one. We never asked for anything else. And the other thing is I would just ask that in the future when we have business dealings, let's go about it this way. There's no racial bias here. I don't appreciate your comments in public. There's no racial bias. All I've done from day one and my staff has done is tried to enforce the laws of our city. And I hope that you will appreciate that and that we don't get into making threats and comments of racial bias, because that's false. There's no racial bias going on here. Okay. Any other comments? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries.
Item number 5 is being removed again. They're asking to come back to July 17th, pending their investigation. They've got a public inquiry with the city clerk's office pending, so we're trying to get them all the information on how the whole thing started with the site plan and development for that. So we're asking item number 5 to be removed. And then item number 6, we brought in front of the Board of Aldermen 2 board meetings ago. It was a subdivision, 2-lot subdivision on State Line and Horn Lake Road. It was approved. There's not a problem with it, with the exception that the name is Bowen Subdivision. Apparently there's an existing Bowen Subdivision inside DeSoto County, and the city clerk is stating that we must change the name, and that it has to be done by board action. We contacted the property owners, and they have decided to rename it to Baruch Subdivision. B-E-R-U-K. That is the gentleman who is purchasing the corner lot. And we just need a motion to approve the change in the subdivision name so we can go and amend it down at the Chancery Clerk's office.
I make a motion we approve. Number 6.
Second.
Okay, on item number 6, we have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion?
Where is the subdivision again?
This is going to be on the northeast corner of State Line Road and Horn Lake Road. There's a horse pasture there and 2 homestead homes. It's across from the mobile home park, and then there's a gas station on the other side.
Gas station's on the left.
Gas station's on this side,
Yeah.
west side. This is the vacant property on the east, yes.
Baruch.
Baruch. It's the gentleman that's actually buying the property, so.
Is there any other discussion on item 6? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda, Mayor's report. Just want to update the board on a few things. First of all, proud of our utilities department. We recently got our water inspection rating back, and we did score 5 out of 5. So we appreciate our department head, Ray Humphrey, and all his staff for helping us to make sure that we have quality, safe and quality water in the city. Just an update, we talked about city monument signs. These are the brick-based monument signs that we have been planning and having designed to be placed on Interstate 55 and then at some key intersection locations throughout the city. The design has been done. I've updated you somewhat about that. What I want to tell you tonight is we expect that the cost of these, based on initial estimates from our architectural firm, is considerably higher than we thought they would be. So what we'll do is we'll make adjustments in our beautification budget. We may have to slow the process down, maybe do one at a time, one per year. It's the one, and it hasn't been bid yet. The bid package is going to be prepared soon, but the initial just ballpark estimate was about $60,000 for a sign. One of them at the intersections, because it's curved and wider, it's about over 80. So we're going to have to slow down somewhat just to meet budget constraints. But anyway, just want to update you that that will be bid package be prepared to bid. You'll be seeing that in the very soon in the upcoming weeks. What we hope to do is start the one on Interstate 55 South, which is just north of Star Landing Road. We want to do that first, and then the second one would be an intersection design sign that would be on the southwest corner of I-55 and State Line Road. So when you're exiting I-55 onto Main Street, you're going to be facing it. So we think that's the most optimal location to get visibility. Plus, you can also see it if you're not exiting the interstate. You can look down and see it. So that will somewhat serve as our entrance sign to the city on 55 too. As I've told you before, we really couldn't find a proper grade on the interstate or the properties adjacent to the interstate to place the sign. So that's why we backed off of that and decided just to kind of kill two birds with one stone, putting the intersection sign there at that southwest corner. So that's the order that we'll do those. Then next year, or the following year, the third priority we recommend is doing the district sign at Northwest Drive and Main Street. So when you come to Northwest Drive, on both sides, it'll have directional signs indicating City Hall, Municipal Court, Police Station, that kind of thing, to kind of dress up this area, plus be functional as a directional sign as well. And then after that, the plan would be to go to other key intersections like Goodman and Getwell, place a Snowden sign there, like in front of the detention area at CVS. That would be another high-profile location. And then the last ones would be at I-55 and Church with the new Metropolitan District. Same thing there. We have curved signs right there that would be visible from the interstate, and obviously on Church Road as well, kind of right there in front of the Tanger Mall. You'd have one there, and then hopefully diagonal across on the southwest corner of I-55 and Church. In front of Bank Plus, have another one right there. That way you're kind of getting visibility on both sides of the interstate and intersection. And then the last one, if that's not enough money, the last one would be at Star Landing and 51. It's a great location if you're going northbound on 51. Right when you enter the city at Star Landing, there's a great spot right there in front of that power place where you could put a rounded curved sign there. So that's kind of the sequence that the plan is, but we'll be talking about that more as we get into budgets, but we'll have to slow down just a little bit because of the cost of these things. And just FYI too, we want to do this right. I mean, these are not cheap signs. These things are brick based. They're going to be have landscape lighting. They're going to be nice. So hopefully, people will enjoy looking at these things for 20, 30 years down the road. So it is a long-term investment. Last thing I want to tell you about, some of you may have seen my Mayor's Report blog. It's something I've been thinking about doing for a long time, and I went ahead and pulled that trigger. I think it's extremely important for our city is acknowledging the people in our city that show pride of ownership in their property. We talk about all the time trying to do our part in beautifying the city, but we can't. The city can set a good example. There's things we can do, but we need our citizens and our property owners to join us, to be a part of a bigger movement. So what I want to do with this is start acknowledging both residential and commercial property owners that show extreme pride of ownership. There's many I could name today. I won't say that until we start giving out the awards, but the ones that really go to that extra effort, that little extra thing, with landscaping, with manicuring their yard, making sure that their homes or their buildings are painted properly. And I know that there's always those out there that always sneer at that and say, well, that's not a big deal. That really doesn't have an effect on the city. I know that it does. With my career in insurance, I'm an property insurance underwriter. I know that the pride of ownership that someone displays in their property puts them in a totally statistical different category from a loss standpoint. It's just numerical facts. It also it adds one by one. When you start doing that, the term neighboritis kicks in. You know, everyone's come home before and your neighbor's got their yard just perfect and you've been out of town and your yard's looking crappy. You know, you got to admit you feel a little guilty, you know. So that's kind of the thing here. You know, you see people dressing up their property. Naturally, you're going to have other people in adjacent areas that are going to say, hey, look, you know, we could do that to our building, you know. And a long-term effect of that is you have properties in your city that are better maintained. I also believe, and it's supported by statistical fact, that, you know, beautification and pride of ownership, it improves the economic attractiveness of our city. You know, first impressions mean everything. When people come to your city and they see the pride that business owners and property owners have, it makes a tremendous difference, and it also decreases crime. We can talk to you know, law enforcement personnel. You can go do study after study after study. The neighborhoods that are well maintained have less crime. It's just a fact. When you have deteriorating property conditions, crime goes hand in hand with that. So we believe, or I believe, that this is extremely important. So the way we'll do this, we're in the process now of designing like a certificate, and then also like a small, inexpensive yard sign. And what we'll do is I'll start promoting that on through social media and also with public comments. Obviously, we'll get the property owner's permission first. We don't want to put anyone in an uncomfortable situation if they don't want to be named, but we'll do that first. Then we will award them with a certificate and a yard sign, and that will start very soon. In fact, we've got a handful of prospects that have it's just so impressive to see these people and what they do, you know, to their properties. And I can't wait. I'm very excited, but I can't wait to deliver that certificate to the first one. So that's going to be coming soon. But I just wanted to update you on that to let you know why that's such a big deal to me, why I think it's important for our city. And I'm excited about, you know, seeing these signs go up and, you know, kind of build pride in our city with joining that team. You're going to call it the mayor's team. You know, when we give a community pride award, I want them to know that I appreciate what they do. And so we'll just build a team of community pride awards. It's not going to be a competition. It's not like yard of the month in your neighborhood or the city. So we'll just give them out as we see fit, as we see people, and obviously we want as many people on that team as we can. So it's not a competition, and it doesn't cost the property owner anything. It's just mainly just a big old pat on the back, you know. So anyway, I'm excited about that. We'll hopefully have the design soon. I'll present that back to you. I didn't get this in time to put on display, but I'd like to pass this around. This is just kind of an idea of what the if y'all will just pass that around, hold it up where people can see. But that's kind of what the certificate and the yard sign will look like. Just indicates it is, you know, the Community Pride Award, and they'll be a part of our mayor, of my team. Okay, and that's all that I have this evening to update. Next on our agenda is our citizens agenda. I know that we did have Mrs. Jimmy Cook that signed up to speak, so if Ms. Cook is here, would you please come forward?
And we haven't picked it yet, but there's some other examples.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I was disappointed when I received my letter of that it was declined about my tire pothole. But I was more disappointed in the word alleged. When I received this letter, it says that the position of the city that it is not liable for the damages alleged in your claim. Everybody knows what the word alleged means, but I did Google it. That's without proof, unproven, or so-called. And if somebody will tell me what other proof that you need, I'll do my best to get it. for that. I have the tire. I've been riding around with it since this pothole thing happened. Parked out here in the parking lots in my trunk. I did not put about the 3 estimates on this paper because this happened on a Thursday. When I came home, I immediately told my husband, and he got on the phone, and he did call Ideal Tires, Gateway, and Sam's. Sam's did have the best price. I have to have a card, so he called them, and they were, like I said, it was the best price, so he asked them when we could do it. They had to order the tire, but it was gonna be there on Friday, which it was on Friday. I did not come to City Hall to fill out this paper until the following Monday, which my husband was at dialysis, and I could not call him to ask him what the estimates were, you know, at this Gateway and the Ideal. That is why I did not put it on this paper. It does seem like a lot. It did to me $301.01 for that tire. But that's what it cost. And the other 2 estimates were much more. Is there anybody here that can tell me what other proof that I need?
Well, I would like to speak for just a minute, and I'd like to open up the floor to any of the board members. The board obviously makes a decision on any claim against the city. That's what it is, a claim against the city. And first of all, I'm sorry that that happened to you, because I know that a pothole can do serious damage to an automobile. But just generally, and I welcome our city attorneys, Nick Manley, to correct me if I get out of line, but I think I can say this correctly. It's not that, when we say alleged, basically, it's not meant to be an insult to you that you didn't provide enough proof. It's basically that no one saw the damage. I mean, there's obviously other reasons that your tire could have been damaged other than a pothole. But the bigger issue with that is the city's taken the position that we do not pay anyone for damages to vehicles due to potholes. And the reason behind that logic is, number one, it's not financially feasible for us to be responsible for every damaged vehicle due to potholes, because potholes by nature can form without our knowledge. Like we attempt to repair every pothole as soon as we're aware of that, but a pothole can form quickly before we have a right or the time to get out there and do that. So for us to accept liability on something that we don't even know about, that's one of the issues. So we believe that it's not financially feasible for the city to repair automobiles due to pothole damage. So it's nothing personal against you. It's a position that the city has taken. It's backed by state law that we do not have to, accept liability for that. But again, it's not to. I'm sorry that happened to you. It's certainly not anything that you did as far as not providing adequate proof, that kind of thing. Just basically, that's the city's position. But I'll open that discussion back up to anyone else if they want to speak. If anyone wants to change that position, the board has the ultimate authority to do that.
I use the word alleged. I don't mean it's a legal term. Basically, might as well just say as you state in your claim. Alleged is how I don't mean the word alleged from my standpoint doesn't mean anything other than as you stated or as you asked for. So that's why alleged doesn't mean to me that that didn't happen. It just means it's as you state, basically. Yeah, I should have been more clear probably on how I said that, but writing as a lawyer, I don't sometimes think how non-lawyers can see that. So
You're forgiven. I really didn't think that anything was going to change by me coming and doing this, but it was just in me to do it, And I didn't have a witness when it actually happened, but I was going to Dr. Patel's office, and a man there seeing Dr. Patel also asked me about my tire, because I was complaining in there about the city and the potholes. I'm sorry. But anyway, he said he would look at the tire, and I thought, he's going to look at it and say, yep, you got a flat tire. But he didn't do that. He was very nice, and he changed the tire for me and wouldn't accept any money. So I was blessed that day after all that happened. Okay.
Well, I appreciate you coming forward, and I do agree with you. I mean, if you go back and watch the videos, I mean, I'm preaching the choir here. I'm trying to get the streets in better condition. I hate that we have a pothole anywhere in the city, but I know that it's not practical or even possible that we can eliminate all potholes. So, and again, it would be financially feasible for the city to pay for every single damage on 1,100 streets for potholes. But I really am sorry that happened to you, and thanks for giving us a chance to speak to you about it.
It was an ugly one too.
Was it a big one?
Yes, it was ugly.
Is it fixed?
Okay, thank you.
What street is it on? Where is the location of it? What street was the pothole?
Pardon?
What street?
South Crest Circle.
South Crest Circle.
Right where you, it's already been fixed.
Oh, it has been fixed already?
Yes.
Okay.
I went 2 days later and it just dawned on me. I said, they're gonna want a picture of this. And so I went back in the drizzling rain and took a picture.
Thank you for doing that.
And then my neighbor went to Dr. Patel's office. She called me, she said, the pothole's been fixed.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for bringing this to our attention, and I'm sorry that we couldn't give you an answer that's more favorable to you, but I really appreciate you coming.
Well, I tried.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Was there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on our citizens' agenda? Hearing or seeing no one, will move on. The next item on our agenda this evening is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve the personnel documents presented on the state.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update.
That's one quick item. Every year you have to reappoint the city attorneys since we're an outside firm under the statute. So tonight is authorization, if you desire, to reappoint Walter Snow for the effective July 1 through June 30th.
You know, I can't think.
Well, I mean, it's an awkward position, and I don't want to present it, but yeah. So
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
and I'll try the mayor to sign everything. So.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion?
We still get you, right?
Yeah, I'll still make it another year.
Wait, have him on mine there.
I mean, like I say, every year I have to do this, so look forward to it. Can't wait.
And every year you get.
You
I know,
get
exactly.
eaten alive
I know,
every year.
I know.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Thank you. All right, next on our agenda is our claims docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the claims docket in the amount of $1,043,474.60, including the mail checks.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Alderman Brooks.
Yes.
Alderman Kelly.
Yes.
Alderman Hoots.
Yes.
Alderman Payne.
Yes.
Alderman Wheeler.
Yes.
Alderman Flores.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Okay, next on the agenda is to determine the need for executive session. We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Kelly. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is claims and litigation against police and public works, economic development, potential location of business within our city, and city contracts. Is there a motion to declare executive session?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The mayor and board will now enter executive session.
Yeah, I like it. Way to go, Dave.
I know.